Parce que parler, c'est partager, et partager, c'est apprendre et évoluer. Ici, on dit tout. On partage nos expériences, nos ressentis, nos réflexions. Toi, femme ambitieuse qui porte 1000 casquettes et qui chaque jour contribue à changer le monde un petit peu à la fois. Je suis Annette, maman de 3 enfants et entrepreneur, et je t'invite à rejoindre Speak Up Rise Up, un espace pour avancer ensemble, pour s'inspirer, se soutenir et grandir. Bienvenue dans Speak Up Rise Up. Today we are with Dr. Gabriele Lang. I'm very happy to be here with you. Thank you for your time. Let me introduce you, Dr. Gabriele. She's a psychologist, right? In business. Yeah, she turned your psychology to business, and especially in conflict navigation. You creator of Up and Change coaching entreprise, let me say, and it's a platform, right? It's a platform online, and you are top 10 global women entrepreneur to be inspired in 2025. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Anen. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm fine. Yeah,
Very happy
quite
to have you
excited
here.
to be here.
Did I do it right? Did
Yes,
I
you,
do
you, you
something?
did it perfectly right. I'm in business for 30 years, 30 plus years. I was with international companies for the first 17 years, like Coca-Cola, Egon Zehnder, Mondi. And then the drive towards entrepreneurship was so strong that I had the courage to jump, and I became self-employed December 2010. Founded my first consulting company, Create Success. And in 2019, with two business partners, I founded Up and Change, my coaching platform.
Perfect. This is amazing, and I was following you for half a year now, and I see all your activity on LinkedIn, and you are doing a great job. And today
Thank you.
we are trying to explore together the conflict and why mastering conflict can be a shift. It's not just a leadership skill, but it can also be a power to unlock real and sustainable impact. Can you tell us about that idea and how that these conflict that we are feeling like, something harming can be a power, a real power?
Yeah. It's interesting because when I think back the last years, I realized myself in 2010, we were just developing our evaluation tool, InnoSparker, which evaluates creativity and innovation potential of organizations. And it was three of us developing it with different expertise, different typologies, which is very important for creativity. But eventually we came to a point where we had a conflict. So it wasn't a huge escalation, but it was a conflict, and there was some blaming and accusations going on. And I realized then, I don't know why, but it went click. And I decided either I would defend myself after being blamed or after being judged for something or doing something or not doing something, or I would just take the energy in this conflict, and turn it in a positive way. So what I did is I said, okay, I hear you, I listen to you. But we've all got a certain share of responsibility in this conflict. It's not only me. And it's like standing on the side of a cliff. If we all take our responsibilities and go the next steps together, everyone working with their own barriers, then we will manage to take the energy and turn it into something positive, and we will finish developing this tool. If not, we all fall down the cliff. And then it's not only money wasted, but it's also time wasted, which, to be honest, I mean, nobody has enough time. Yeah. So it would be a shame because you would waste everything. And that in 2010 was the first time I really realized how you can't avoid the conflicts. Those are part of the game, part of life. But you can change the way you master conflict. So use the energy for something positive. And that's not only business wise, it's also private wise, because I've got a lovely teenage boy now. And my ex-partner and myself, we're very proud about our son and the love we had for the son, but we didn't manage the relationship. But still, we've got a relationship as parents. So I decided I need to understand how I cope with somebody who's important in my life as father of my child, but who ticks totally different than me in stress.
Mhm.
And that was the start of developing stress typology and understanding more and using this psychology for making sense to difficult situations, challenging situations. Because if you're parents, you're a lifelong parents. And it's a beauty if you're different. So the difference is important for creativity, which is necessary for innovation. But in everyday life, this difference is the issue. If you can't handle the difference in opinion, the difference in typology, you will fail. And that's more or less the start of all the work I did for Up and Change. Not consciously then, of course. I didn't start doing typologies and thinking I will found a coaching platform and I will use all that to improve collaboration in organizations. But it more or less happened through life, through conflict situations in life, but really being curious like a little child, understanding why does he do something totally different than I do.
So yeah, this is very interesting. So I feel like we've misunderstood something in conflict. Something, like we avoid conflict, but because we misunderstand something in that conflict, maybe our difference, and or maybe more. So what the leaders in business or in a private life, what did we miss about conflict? Why do we avoid this conflict and we feel it like something very um, like um, like an injury, like we feel it badly. It's like a loss in
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, that's very right what you say, Honen, because conflict has a very negative connotation. I mean, honestly, I love harmony. I mean, it's not like I go through life and I'm looking for conflict. But as I said, it happens. If people come together, if there's stress situations, challenging situation, automatically the tension and the friction increases. So I think the reason why we avoid it because probably it's our upbringing also, our beliefs. If you're furious, usually as a small child, you usually hear don't have a temper tantrum and don't do that, and be well behaved and cope with that. And I think what we are missing is sort of seeing, okay, I do understand the feeling. I understand that you are furious now. And it's fully understandable and relatable that you're furious now. But the question is, what can we do to soften the situation, to continue to have progress in the situation? And I think that's what we're missing in our upbringing, that it's sort of black and white instead of saying, okay, the feelings I understand, the feelings are allowed, but
Mhm.
you need to learn how to regulate your emotions, how to regulate your feelings, because that's personal competence. And I think that's something probably we don't learn as often as we should be learning. And there's a second twist to the whole thing is cycle games. You know, if you in school, for example, it's usually one child doing something which is supposedly bad, yeah. The other one, a child who's the victim, you know, crying, for example, or you know, sort of the one who has been hurt. And then there's this salvator, the prosecutor, the salvator who comes in, which is usually the teacher. And then you've got a cycle game. Instead of just not judging and saying you're the bad one and you're the poor one, yeah, not even talking about gender. Usually it's the boys who are the wild ones and the loud ones, and the girls who are the poor ones, yeah, which of course does something with us. But to take that gender topic out, because that's of course very generalized now, it would be much better saying, okay, so what share of responsibility have you got in this conflict? And which share of responsibility have you got? What could you do different? What could you do different? And it's like a child falling over. If you sort of, come on, get up, you know, and if the child cries, you just comfort him, but it's not like, oh, you've fallen down. You know, the reaction doesn't make the child understand, oh, this must be something terrible. And I think if we grow up and then we get to organizations, we haven't learned those competencies. And the interesting thing is, emotional competence, like the creativity competence, you can learn. So you can learn empathy, you can learn regulating feelings. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. And that's why I said, if you waste your time moaning, getting overexcited, judging or accusing and blaming people, then take the energy and transform it into progress and into sustainable development. That would be much more useful. Because otherwise you're playing cycle games, and you know, I always like joking and saying it's like in a sandpit. The only difference is the grown-ups have learned that you don't throw the bagger over the head of the other one very obviously. So you do it with words and you do it, you know, in a different way. I'm not sure if more elegant, but it's more hidden.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand fully. And then now we are like, most of the people are in that triangle all the time, all the time, and it's like even like their comfort zone, and it's not easy to transform that conflict into constructive um, conflict. And even you know, when you have the idea all black, you don't really see it clear. And all that teaching process that we need to learn, and we need to work on our emotions and psychological, and then understand our trauma and all that stuff, all that field is like, sometimes even myself, I feel it's a lot of work. Let's get, you know, like victimized. It's more easy. It's easier than doing all the hard work, but then it's useful to do the hard work, because for the long term maybe it can give something, right? So what you feel, but that was the main thing about construct, where people can do it easily than other people, when people, I mean, shifting from destructive to constructive conflict.
I do believe very deeply that it's all about, you know, pressure. If you haven't got any pressure to change, you won't change because it's work. Let's be honest. The comfort zone is usually well known, and that's what it makes it comfortable. It may be that it's sometimes not the most positive, but it's well known. Yeah. And so that gives a certain, you know, sense of security and safety. And if you've got enough pain, then you usually, or let's put it that way, if the balance of advantages of this situation and your comfort zone and the disadvantages is in, the disadvantages have increased and are more significant than the advantages, then you've got chances to change. Because then there's a motivation to change to make it better. And I believe what helped me, because it's not as if I was born, with all my competencies, years ago. Of course, I had to learn the tough way too. I used to freeze in certain situations. I used to escape certain situations. But I remember I was very shy when I was a child. And at the age of 14, I decided this is no concept for life, because if you're too shy and you never open your mouth, nobody hears you. So it's a strategy and it's got advantages, but the disadvantages became bigger. So I think if what helped me in this phase is it's always step by step, as quickly as possible, as slowly as necessary. And if everyone sort of just thinks about it, okay, I'm going one step. It's not about changing everything in life, yeah, but it's one step, yeah. So if I realize what is bothering me, this is already a huge step in the right direction. Many people ignore, compensate, suppress feelings. But if you start taking the time, and this can be before you go to bed, in the morning when you've woken up, that's usually the best times because it's quieter. Just think about, how am I feeling? That's the reason why we developed the pain point check or things like that, to give you some tools, to understand, where should I be looking? Because if you understand your feelings, you've already got a huge and giant step you've taken.
All right. And so you spoke about that point
Pain
check.
point check. Pain point check.
Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, exactly.
People doesn't know about it.
Yeah. So Up and Change is a coaching platform, and we offer solutions concerning conflict and challenging situations. So we have digital tools, instant help you can use 24/7, but we've also got personal help. Yeah. But the vision is, how can you give people help when they need it most without excuses? So no excuse about, I can't afford it, I haven't got time, I'm not in the same location, I've got no idea what the difference between a psychologist and a coach is, and whatever. So without excuses, you've got a lack of orientation, for example, and you want orientation, you take, for example, the goal finder or the pain point check, and then you're navigated through this digital tool, and you can choose your own speed whenever you want it. You can pause whenever you want it, and you're navigated with questions, with techniques on an emotional, rational level, from a problem to a solution in very quick time. So the pain point check only takes you 15 minutes. And then you've at least know, what does your wheel of life look like, and how smoothly is it running in your life. Yeah. And you know exactly, this is especially important in situations where you've got the feeling everything's not working. Then sometimes it's good to see, wait a minute, not everything is totally bad.
Yeah, because that's our inner narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
And pattern.
Yeah, you need a navigation, because otherwise, it's like a negative spiral down. But you can always stop it by saying stop and going in the other direction. Yeah. And sometimes you need some help. And the digital tools give you especially this help in an easy way.
Yeah, we can find all this on your website, right?
Yeah, upandchange.com.
We can drop the link here and underneath the video, the interview on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And people can check and see it. Can you remember, moment of growth, a shift that happened to someone that that helped him to a moment that he led conflict and it helped him grow?
It's funny because I do regular executive coachings, and I only had two very similar examples with managers this week, yeah, where it went click, yeah. It's, for example, funnily, both of them came with emails, yeah, emails which were full of accusations, blaming, and so on. So the natural instinct would be defending yourself, but then be careful. It's sort of you are taken by the negative energy, and you're not in the calm, factual manner anymore, and you're grown up. But you tend to get accusative yourself. Yeah. So what I went through is some psychological techniques, understanding what were they thinking, yeah, why did they think it was unfair, and then understanding, okay, what's the objective of the answer. And because I helped them with clear questions, and they could take the time to think about that, and they could relax, the negative emotion, but think in a more calm way, they were able to react in a violent-less way. And that's so important, because you were asking for examples. Because if you change something in the communication style, then you automatically change the result. Because if you are in your communication, and it takes some time to learn that, yeah, it's first you have to learn it, because it's a different way of communicating. But if you don't judge, if you don't exaggerate, but you stay with the facts, you're not accusative, but you stay in a calm, relaxed way with some recognition also for the strengths of the other one, I could watch both of them find the necessary relief, and also work with their feelings of fury, annoyance, fear sometimes. Fear, what if they do that? What could happen? And that's the beauty in my work. You can see the transformation from negative feelings to, wait a minute, I'm a grown up. It's not as if I was in danger, like somebody, threatening me with my life at the moment. Yeah. And that's the beauty of the work. So you can really watch, and that's only a very small chunk of my work. Already with an email, you can change a lot in the style of communication, and you can learn social skills, and at the same time, personal skills like regulating your feelings.
Great. But you said that it's a long process, we need to learn, and it's step by step. But can you give us like small tips? How can we train our awareness and response in the moment of tension when it happens? What we can do first?
Yeah. The difficult thing is, if you're in the emotion, you need to realize that's not totally rational. So the feelings and the body feelings take over sometimes. So the best thing in a situation where you can feel the tension is to breathe, because breathing relaxes your body. If you're in a situation where you're feeling fearful, for example, because you are in an organizational meeting, there's some important topic in discussion, then sometimes it can also help, really putting your tension through the fingers around your chair, so that you really till your knuckles get white. Yeah. So you really press, nobody can see from the top, but you're reducing tension in your body. And body, mind, and soul are, one thing, it's not sort of saying, I'm only handling this rationally. Especially in stressful situations, try to calm yourself down. Don't do it in the emotion. If it's an email, it's easier because then you can sort of get up, have a break and whatever. But if you're in the middle of a meeting, then things like breathing, because you can't do something where everyone can watch you, so you can do little things which nobody realizes. Breathing, putting the pressure through your fingers and hands, on the chair, reducing the tension in your body. That's, for example, 2 little tips you can do within a meeting.
Yes.
If it gets too bad, it's better to have a break of the meeting. So a third tip, would be saying, can we have a short break? So sometimes if I'm working with executives, for example, in team management meetings where it's about complex problems, it's about, facilitating the communication and the decision making. Sometimes it is also that I do breaks if it gets very emotional. Because that gives the people the time to come down again. Because it's like with a little child, a 3-year-old child in front of the chocolate shelf, who wants chocolate. You don't start giving him pedagogic lessons at the cash desk, but you just try to get out of the situation.
Yeah. And is it always about something rational? People get into conflict sometimes because in personal life, more maybe, I don't know, in business, how is it? But it's always about something that we've understood, how we understand things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about what he said correctly.
No. It's usually nothing to do with the rationality.
Yeah.
It's usually to do with the emotionality. Yeah. So it's got to do with fears, unconscious fears, of course, unconscious beliefs. It's got to do that feelings are connected with a situation which are not in the now, but some years or decades before that. Yeah. And that makes it so tricky. So if that's the development, if I think of my personal development, it started already 20 years ago, and it started because I realized, for example, the environment I was working in was costing me a lot of energy. So I could realize through I couldn't sleep well. Although I loved my job, I didn't enjoy certain situations, and that made me think, and that made me get help at that moment. Yeah, because I knew there was more I could learn, and I needed to master these situations. And I think that's the important thing. You have to be conscious of the fact that it's not about data, it's not about facts usually that people escalate. I mean, look at politics, look at the situation worldwide. Usually it's got nothing, not only to do with rational facts. There's other things which come into this whole game.
Yeah, but is it possible to get over that? I mean, if we work on ourselves and our complex, maybe our negative thoughts, beliefs, can we get over conflict? Can we avoid conflict? Or,
Yes.
never having a conflict.
Look, my tip for everyone would be, the first thing is, if you have the feeling it's a conflict, so it's not only a difference in values, a difference in opinion, but it's also a certain negative emotion connected, and I'm feeling treated in an unfair way or something. That's a conflict. So the pure difference in opinion is not a conflict yet. So, but if I'm in a conflict, I think it is very important, if I know my own objective, if I have an own aim or vision, where I want to get business-wise, for example, then the first thing I would recommend to everyone is to judge, is this important for getting to the objectives? Yeah, is that important? Because sometimes if a topic isn't important, why should you be fighting? Just fighting for the sake of fighting is useless. So that's a very conscious decision already. Just taking the short time to think about, why am I doing this? Is it important for following the objectives of the company, for example, yes or no? Yeah, because sometimes you just give in because it's not important, or you just try to avoid the situation. Yeah, but let's assume it's a topic of interest to get the objectives, or because it's from top management and you have to do it. Then it is always important to understand your own opinion. Do I want to collaborate with the person opposite? And also thinking about, does the other one want to cooperate? Because if cooperation is there, a compromise and a consent shouldn't be the issue. The issue comes along if you've got an opposite, or if you say, I don't want to work with this person. Because then you are in the quadrant. If you see there's a quadrant, topic important, not important, and collaboration wanted or not wanted. Yeah. You are in the quadrant of forcing it through, fighting for what is important for you. And then there's also a difference. Is the other one following the rules of the game? Yes or no? Is he playing fair or not? So you can see it's already a huge relief if you understand where are you in this quadrant of importance of topic and the willingness to collaboration. Yeah. And that's, I think, important for everyone to understand, because I think we could avoid a lot of conflicts and fighting and useless and innovating circles of discussions. If we just remember, wait a minute, let me just shortly think, is this an important topic? Yes or no? Is it just about being right? Yeah, and often it's only about an ego topic, about having the last word, and that's where you can save energy. Yeah. You just take yourself out of the game. And that's helped me a lot, in discussions, because, as I said, some discussions are important for progress. And friction doesn't always need to be negative. Friction also can be important for creativity. It's the unproductive friction losses which we should be avoiding, and which are costing time, nerves, energy, and money.
And you work with organization and
yes,
big
with
companies?
Managers and organizations, yeah.
Do you feel that the organization are aware of this problem, and they are contributing to have a culture of a healthy conflict, or they're not?
Let's put it very frankly, I like being a bit of provocative, because then I get the message over. I would say it's like an iceberg. The productivity cost of the consequences of conflict, direct or indirect, are underestimated by far. So usually there's a lot of companies who ignore, the waste of time. There's studies which say 50%, up to 50% of the time of managers are spent with direct or indirect consequences of conflict. Can you imagine?
Wow.
If you turn that into money,
yeah,
how much creativity does that cost? How much health does it cost people? How much money does it cost organizations? So I believe this is worldwide a topic which is, because it's in the, emotional, because it's soft, because it's often difficult to grasp. It's underestimated. But like with an iceberg, there's not only direct consequences, there's indirect consequences and emotional consequences. And that goes not only from the time to dissatisfaction, it also has an impact on health and, sickness days. So if you really go through it, the top management should have that in focus. But it's, the nice message is you can learn it. But emotional intelligence, in my opinion, as a psychologist, as somebody with an expertise and specialization in conflict resolution and trying to transform conflicts into momentum and into progress, I think it's underestimated.
Yes, I believe so, because we cannot calculate it, right? It's not really to estimate or to have something countable to see how conflict can impact.
Yeah.
Emotionally, it's not something that we can feel or touch.
Yeah.
So well, this is why they're not aware. Maybe some studies they make, we can just speak about it and
There's a lot of studies there. But
Uh-huh.
studies themselves don't change the world and don't change the organizations. You have to have managers who are role models, who recognize, for example, communication styles which are in the grown-up eye, which are factual, which which are honest, which are violentless, and you have to understand what are the consequences if somebody doesn't follow the rules of the game. Because it's like with children. That's why it's so interesting, if you tell a child you're not allowed to do that and there's no consequence if the child does it, now what will the child learn? It doesn't really matter anyway. I can do whatever I want to. There's no consequence. And let's put it very frankly, if there's real, innovating discussions, never-ending discussions, conflicts, and so on in organizations, it's also about looking there, not judging, but just saying, so what? We've got a conflict. Doesn't matter. Let's have a look. But everyone needs to take responsibility. And if I, as top manager, don't understand, for example, cycle games or my part in this whole situation, then it's difficult, to find the starting point. But I think change always starts with one person. And that's what I say. And there's this nice saying, please give me the calmness to accept situations I can't change. Please give me the courage to change situations I can, and the wisdom to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, magnifique. I'm switching to French sometimes.
Yeah, magnifique, I understand. Unfortunately, my French isn't good enough, yeah.
Okay, so Gabi, I'll say.
Yeah, Gabi, you can say Gabi, Gabriele or Gabi.
How did you come to this, to this field of conflict? You studied psychology, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you worked as a psychologist, yeah. And then you found that, you said that it was something maybe from your own experience. Tell us more about that.
Yeah.
How did you come to this?
Probably from the age of 14, I had an interesting hobby. I loved doing family trees. So I always had an interest concerning what is behind something, what are the dynamics of human interactions. And I loved psychology in school. And although I wanted to be a physiotherapist because my mom was in a wheelchair, I didn't have typewriter skills, because that was the precondition for being a physiotherapist. And that's why I followed my heart and studied psychology. So I did my PhD in psychology. And I then went into market research. So this was a huge field, an interesting field for psychologists, because you could with focus groups and the qualitative market research, you could implement a lot of your psychological knowledge, but it was already connected a lot to business. And then curiosity drove me that I worked in marketing, I worked in sales, I went into executive search. And that was my coming back to psychology again, because I understood the issues in recruitment and management appraisals wasn't, finding the right person.
This part because of the phone. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Let's start the same sentence.
Okay. Wait a minute, let me think. Where was I? So I understood the issue wasn't in finding the right person. The issue was in onboarding. So when different people came together, that there was friction, and that sparked my curiosity again. Yeah. And that made me, I did my coaching education, and I did constellation. I looked at family constellations, organizational constellations, all of that stuff, all the trauma release techniques. And it was more or less then the wish was there to really become an entrepreneur. And I saw how easy it was to help people with the knowledge I had, because it was somehow different. It wasn't sort of the typical career I had done, from psychology over systemic knowledge to business. And so eventually I asked, 2015 I said, so what am I really doing now? What is my core expertise? I was helping people. And so I asked my clients, and they said, every time human beings come together and it gets complex, and it's got a lot to do with psychology, then we get you. When other people run away because they don't like it, because it's too sort of complex and difficult, then we get you. Yeah. And that made me think. And then I also realized that people were saying, I've got no time, I've got no money, and what I told you beforehand. And that's how I decided I'm digitizing my executive coaching experience to help more people and to develop a scalable enterprise and company. And that's what Up and Change is all about. It's about enabling people to effectively collaborate in stressful situations despite difference in opinion and typology.
Absolutely magnificent. Yeah, very, very mind-blowing. I didn't meet many, specialized in conflict. And this is very interesting. And all the knowledge that you have a PhD in psychology, and you did all the work after that. So yeah, it's very interesting. So can you leave us with a last sentence, what you can add in this in the end for all the audience?
Yes, I would, my last sentence would be, and that's also a guiding star for myself, is if you find out that you're spending your time moaning, getting overexcited, or blaming, and then stop for a moment and have a look. Why are you moaning about the situation? What is the dissatisfaction? What are the feelings behind? If you just take this little part, then you've already got your starting point for improvement, for progress, for sustainable development. Nothing more. Understanding, wait a minute, what am I doing here? What am I getting furious about? Because I always say, if you get, accusations, listen carefully. If you take the message and you resonate, so you react, you've got a development field. If you stay calm, and unexcited, continue. And the same when you are blaming somebody else. Always have the feeling, has that something got to do with me? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. If only people started doing that, I think that would be a perfect, sort of like a moment of clarity to find out where can I take responsibility and where can I develop as quickly as possible, as slowly as necessary.
Perfect. Thank you, Gabby, for all your advices and tips that you gave to us. This interview was very interesting for me. I've learned a lot, and I certainly go to that pain check point.
Pain point check, yeah.
Pain point check, I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, so thank you for your time. Thank you for expertise, all your advices. And maybe you can tell us how we can reach you.
Yes, exactly. So, and then thank you for inviting me. I love, talking about the topic close to my heart. So thank you for your time also. You either follow me on LinkedIn, yeah, so Gabriele Lang, or on Insta with Up and Change, or you go to our website, upandchange.com. So the sense is get up and change. That's Up and Change. And we've got some freebies. So use the freebie of the stress type check. Find out for free your stress typology and get some tips for free. The cheat sheet with the 10 success principles as game changer for your job. So use that, and we've also got a blog with some inspiration and impulses. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy if I could contribute. Bye, and
bye. See you
my
soon.
regards to Brussels. Bye.
Ciao. Merci d'avoir écouté cet épisode de Speak Up Rise Up. J'espère qu'il vous a inspiré, fait réfléchir ou simplement donné un peu de courage pour continuer à avancer. Si vous avez aimé cet épisode, n'oubliez pas de vous abonner au podcast pour ne jamais manquer une nouvelle conversation. Vous pouvez également laisser une note ou un commentaire pour partager ce que vous en pensez. Votre retour compte énormément pour moi et pour l'évolution de ce projet. Surtout, parlez-en autour de vous. Ensemble, on peut amplifier les voix et les histoires qui méritent d'être entendues. Pour rester connecté, retrouvez-moi sur Instagram. J'adore lire vos messages et échanger avec vous. On se retrouve très bientôt pour un nouvel épisode. En attendant, souvenez-vous, parlez fort, rêvez grand et ne laissez jamais personne éteindre votre lumière. Au revoir!